All right. Well, I will be first talking about the future DeFi. So one of the big things that DeFi and blockchain technology in general is promising is something called Web3. So Web3 is a decentralized internet. Currently, we have Web2, which is centralized on a few companies. Think Google, Facebook, or Meta, Amazon Web Services, where a few companies have it all centralized and you can't really see what's going on. By utilizing blockchain technology and these DAOs and other decentralized apps that we've been talking about, you would be able to more easily participate and be a part of the web, while it's also more transparent because all of these tend to be open source and you can see their code. Everything that they do is public on the blockchain. If there's any issues with them, those would be caught quickly because it's all open source. And then as to why people would participate in this, as Ezra was describing before, the governance tokens that you get when you participate or when you loan or something, you would be able to get those when you participate in supporting these DAOs and dApps. Another big thing that's promised by the future of DeFi is something called DeFi 2.0. So DeFi right now has a kind of issue where, first of all, there's a few issues. The first one is everything that happens in DeFi is built around these stable coins. So the USDC and UST that Ezra was talking about before, where that is then connected to fiat currency. So there's some DAOs like Olympus DAO, which are trying to make a crypto fiat, essentially a crypto reserve currency, like how the US is a reserve bill. Or you have protocols like Abracadabra, which are kind of like Compound, where you put collateral in to borrow out a loan, but the collateral that you put in grows interest on it natively, so your loan pays itself off. Additionally, DeFi has the issue where a lot of people in DeFi right now are just chasing these extremely large returns over a short time. And when a new project comes out with even larger returns, they just completely abandon the old one for the new one with larger returns, which is usually called liquidity mining. And you can see why this would be a big issue. So a lot of new protocols are looking at ways to get around this and make it so people who have actual faith in the project that it's going to succeed and that it's going to be big are the ones who are most rewarded for participating within it. Additionally, as this talk is mainly focused on Ethereum, Ethereum 2.0 is something that's already kind of coming out. So Ethereum has a few issues as well. Ethereum is not particularly environmentally friendly right now, and it's not particularly scalable or made for the size it's being used of right now. So the model that Ethereum works on currently is something called proof of work, which is what Natalie described earlier with the computational time being what validates the blocks, in the blockchain, so the nodes in the blockchain. Ethereum has 3 steps to be able to move over from a proof of work model to a proof of stake model, where proof of stake is the amount of that token, so in this case it would be Ethereum, which you have working determines your mining power, not necessarily the amount of energy you dump into it, which is more environmentally friendly because it's not based on the amount of energy you dump into it. Additionally, the size of your Ethereum is an issue because of how much demand there is to use Ethereum, and it has only a limited capacity to process transactions, there is an extremely high fee to use the main chain of Ethereum. So Ethereum 2.0 has 3 steps to fix all of these issues. The first step is implementing what's called a beacon chain. So alongside the main chain of Ethereum that everyone uses, they create something called the beacon chain, where all the beacon chain does is allow you to stake on it using this proof of stake system. This is out right now. The beacon chain exists and is a thing right now. Step 2 is to merge the beacon chain and the main chain into a single main chain, which would then allow you to use the proof of stake system that was on the beacon chain onto the main chain. This solves the proof of work, proof of stake issue and helps make Ethereum more environmentally friendly and sustainable long term. And then their third thing is shard chains, which is basically miniature chains which any device would be able to create and operate and have that would be able to sync up with the main chain. So the goal with these shard chains would be a device, even like your phone, would be able to run it. And that would be able to, because of how accessible that would be able to scale up Ethereum and help reduce the transaction costs of using it. And finally, one of the new things with Ethereum is layering. So because of the reasons, as I said earlier, other people who aren't a part of Ethereum have been making their own solutions to it, which is usually comes in the form of a layer 2. So a layer 2 is a way to process transactions outside of the main Ethereum chain, but be able to use the main Ethereum chain to validate these processes and transactions. There's 2 ways that this is usually done. It's either an optimistic layer 2 or a zero knowledge layer 2. Optimistic layer 2s use a fraud checker. So they bundle up the transactions, and then before they post them to the main Ethereum chain to have the data be verified, they use a fraud checker to prevent any fraud from occurring. A zero knowledge layer 2, on the other hand, creates a proof of validity by itself without any external fraud checker to and has that along with it when it posts the data to the main chain of Ethereum. There's pros and cons to each. Zero knowledge are usually safer, but also usually more expensive to use. Optimistic have the opposite issue. So that's some of the futures of DeFi from where we're sitting right now. And everything that we've described so far has sounded great, but of course, with any new technology, there's going to be some risks.